My guest today is Filip Stojkovski, a cybersecurity professional with over 15 years of experience. He began his career as a SOC analyst and now leads SecOps engineering at Snyk. Filip also advises organizations on SOAR, AI for SOC, and threat intelligence strategies. He holds multiple SOAR certifications, including GSTRT, GCTI, and GCFA, and was recognized as Threat Seeker of the Year. He is the creator of the Lead Threat Intelligence Framework and the Security Automation Development Lifecycle. Filip regularly shares his expertise through industry talks on his blog, Cybersecurity Automation and Orchestration. Thank you so much for being with us on the show, Filip. It's a real honor to have you here.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, and I think I might have murdered your name a little bit. I don't know if you want to say it one more time so our listeners can hear the proper pronunciation.
No worries. I'm Filip Stojkovski.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I do my best, but I'm not so good at some of these. Before we get into it, do you want to tell us a little bit about what Snyk does?
Yes, definitely. So here at Snyk, what we
Snyk.
concentrate mainly, it's actually Snyk, it stands for So Now You Know.
Okay.
And yes, what it does amazing, it's helping you to secure your code. So it can find vulnerabilities in the code that you're writing, and that's only one of the offering that I would say that we have. We have many others like application security risks. We have open source vulnerabilities and dependencies. So it's finding if you're using any open source and how to patch it and to remediate those. We have infrastructure as a code, fixes and detections. So it's all around, yes, making sure that your code is secure, especially now in the AI age that we see a lot of these byte coding. I think it's quite important that we have a secure code at first.
100%. And does that work in your build pipeline? Does the code go through Snyk as part of the build process?
Yes. So here at Snyk, yes, we are eating our own dog food, what we say. Yes, we are using Snyk within the development of Snyk product as well.
Oh, very cool. And before we go too far down this road, I'm always interested in how people got their start in technology, whether you grew up in front of a computer or it's something you found later in life. How did you first get interested in technology, and how did that become a career in cybersecurity?
Sure. So that's a good one, and a story that I want usually to tell. Yeah, I grew up in front of a computer. I would say, yes, back in the day, it was not so common to stay all day because you'd get red eyes really quickly, the bad monitors that we had back then. But yes, I enjoyed them early on in my career. I think it was when I was like 7th or 8th grade. I started to write for a IT magazine back in my home country. So that's how I started. So I started to explore specific topics, get into more details, and just breaking stuff and figuring them out to see how they're built. I think that's how many of us started in tech. And yes, then started at university where I started to study cyber, and that's how I got my first job. So I've been this cybersecurity for a long time now.
Oh, that's great. And you mentioned the old CRT monitors. I think there's a whole generation of folks coming up who have no idea how big and heavy these things used to be in the glare that would come off of them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would add stack multiple filters also on top of it so you don't get the red eyes. Like that picture, it's even worse than. It's crazy.
Yeah, actual photons being shot at your face, right? So you write a lot about AI in the SOC, which is something I've been very interested in lately. At LimaCharlie, we just added an MCP layer to our security operations platform. So, starting to really think about what can we do with this technology. So I know you write about this a lot. I was wondering if you could walk us through a real world scenario where like an AI agent excels and one where a traditional playbook is still better, so we can kind of gauge where the technology's at.
Sure, definitely. So I think that's a good start to get better understanding on where all this AI agent buzz is coming for and what's actually good on. So from what I've seen so far, tested, spoke with vendors, did some research in the past 2 years since I started to get all this new technology, some traction. When we are seeing in real world, or if you're a SOC analyst, worked in MSSP or as a SOC at one of the organizations, the most or the best, I would say, outcome you would see in use cases like enrichment. And that's what also SOAR was doing. I would say the AI agents, they're doing it a bit better because they have the reasoning. So you don't need to build, in other words, 40 blocks playbook nowadays. So you can add the AI agent and it will do all that enrichment for you. And with the era of MCP, it's even easier. So you can add a list of applications that you want to reach, and it will go and it will grab the information that you need. And then it will do the reasoning as well. So it will understand the context that you're getting and if it's relevant for your alerts. Simply, if you're putting like the use cases that we handle day to day, I would say like anything that has to do with phishing analysis, then the simple or the noisy EDR alerts that we're usually getting, those are quite good as well to give them to the agent. But I would say to be careful and not start with giving the agent the full playbook that you have for your phishing or EDR to be done end to end. Start slow, start with few steps, embed it at something that is quite repetitive and you spend a lot of time. And then, yes, use the playbook mainly for remediation stuff where you need the human to have an oversight, because you don't want to end up that the agent saw something from multiple sources. It said that it's malicious. Actually, it's a legit file and it isolates the whole department, or it's blocking something on your firewall. You would want to have some oversight and to use the traditional playbooks, I would say more deterministic steps in that case.
It's interesting. While you were speaking there, it just dawned on me that eventually I think we'll see threat actors starting to mimic these really obtuse, simple detections so that they can sneak through, because those will be handled automatically or something along those lines.
Yes, I think there's all the time a way to put some guardrails as well. And I think that's another key when it comes to agent. And it was the same thing when we were introduced to cloud. Everyone started to deploy stuff in the cloud, and then they realized, wait, I open an S3 bucket to everyone, or my virtual machine, it's open to everyone. It was the same thing now with the agents, yes. Is try to experiment, but don't deploy them in production and think that, yes, they're completely safe. So we need to have really solid plan behind.
Are there any common pitfalls or gotchas that security teams should look out for when they're evaluating AI agents for their SOC?
So I would say yes, there are few that I identified so far, and what I'm some of them that are already quite known. So one is related to the APIs and to the integrations, which MCP might solve to some level, but still, me personally, I need to test it a bit more to see if that really works. But when it came to automation, yes, what we've seen, yes, APIs are changing quite often. Even just the format that specific tool is giving you back, the JSON file, it can change and it will break whole automation process. It can happen the same thing with the agents. Something else that I would say it's to be careful and to put some guardrails when you're running the agent. So, for example, if it closed specific alerts 20 times as false positives, it should trigger something. It should go back to the analyst, say, I closed this 20 times. It should be some feedback loop that you should improve the detection of. Then if it happens something to a critical asset, again, add the human in the loop. Don't let the agent do everything. And the other thing is with the LLMs that you're using. If you can host your own LLM, that will be another thing. And be careful when you're looking at the vendors on how they're using the LLMs. I think something that I've heard that many they're complaining lately is that many products they're offering AI, but then the responsibility falls to the customer because the vendors they're using third parties and they cannot say that they would sign on the results that the LLM is giving. So there's some
Yeah.
gray area there.
Yeah, and the speed of adoption is just mind-boggling. It's hard to verify that all these systems are working. I feel like we've learned this lesson before, but we just have to go through it every time there's a new technology, right?
Exactly.
So for a team starting from scratch, do you have any advice that you'd give them about integrating AI into their security automation platforms?
Definitely, and it's a piece of blog that I was just writing, and I'll be releasing on that one. So what I've come up with is, I would say, 4-step tactics for implementing AI agents. Which it comes first, we need to start with what I call shadow mode. So let the agent first watch the incidents to see how he's choosing specific playbooks, why it does that, put it in let's say, a Slack or Teams channel to show you, yes, in this case, I would take this specific step. So then you know that, yes, it will do the right thing and the stuff that you're expecting. Um, Second one that I would suggest is to expose the agent via Copilot chat. So rather than code agent and trigger stuff by itself whenever it wants to be, let's say, a slash command or let's say a script, a portal where you can activate the agent, and let's say you call the agent and say contain that specific host, or go and analyze that specific malware that they submitted, and then yes, do the necessary actions, things like that.
Have you seen any?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please.
I was just going through the steps. I was saying that the third one, it was on the guardrails as a code, what they say. So that one, it would be to control the agent so it knows when to have human intervention, what they say, not to let it to go end to end. And the last one, it was the what they call telemetry everywhere. So to log, to audit all the steps that the agent is taking. So you don't wake up, then you implemented the agents and audit comes and it says, well, you don't have any audits on what the agent did in the backend. Did it isolate host? And you just see, yes, I closed this as true positive, but you don't know the steps that it took to do that.
Soon we'll be writing detection rules for the audit logs on the agents to make sure that it's all. So what's the old children's fable? There was an old woman who, no, she lived in a shoe. It was ate the fly, then ate the spider, yes, and ate the cat. Sorry, I get down side roads sometimes. How do you balance agent-driven speed with the need for human oversight during critical incident response steps? So we get all this superpower from using AI when things are happening and speed matters. How do we balance, getting the advantage from the AI versus potentially making some big mistakes?
What I say here is to have clear processes and procedures before you implement them. So, as I was saying, you get them playbook by playbook. So you don't just deploy, use AI agents for all the phishing. So you would get your playbooks and see, yes, this is the steps that they'll handle AI agents, and this is what it will be handled by a human. What I would say always with the AI agents, shift left, like it's with the coding analogy. But here, what I'm saying, shift left on the IR life cycle, which means put them to do stuff that they're early in the IR stage, rather than more on the right, where is the remediation part. And mainly concentrate on stuff that speed is a key, especially when we have big incident or incident response, like forensic analysis, building timelines, which is a key. So if I don't know if you did forensic analysis, or someone listening did forensic analysis, they know that timeline analysis, it can be a day or two or even a week process to go over all the logs, put everything together, and see, yes, where something malicious happened. Doing like blast radius determination, going through logs and understanding what else is affected. Things like that, where yes, as human, we work slow and it takes us a while, then let the machine what they're best at.
Mm-hmm. And as automation takes over, as the machines do more and more of that, mundane work that takes humans a lot of times, what new skill set should SOC analysts look to develop, and like how can they shape their training and education to be ready for this new landscape?
So that's quite a good question, and I think it's trending quite it's trending a lot lately because we're seeing this shift, and many there skimmed, especially that I would say tier one or junior analysts, that their job will disappear. As many of the vendors, they say tier one is gone and yes, doesn't exist anymore. I would say um, not necessarily is gone, it's just changing. So we need to use AI to do things faster. So that means, of course, the tier one role, as we know, probably is different now. And it will concentrate more on, I would say, CM engineering, detection engineering, more incident response tasks like, I would say, tier three analysis, what we knew before, and security automation as well, like building SOPs, building those playbooks to know when to use, as I was saying, traditional playbook and AI agents. So it will be more engineering driven rather than analysis driven. And I think that's quite normal. So some of the roles that I had previously started graduates program specifically in security automation, and it's not that hard to get, I would say, grads and people that they start their career in cybersecurity to go in security engineering. It's just the mindset and how you structure, it's how you train them about cybersecurity.
Yeah, and that's actually been a big part of our thesis since we started LimaCharlie, was that eventually cybersecurity is going to look a lot like software engineering. You know,
Yes.
the parallels are there, and yes, the grunt work gets taken over by machines. It'll be more about building and architecting these systems so that they can run autonomously and do their jobs.
Exactly.
Um, do you see any organizational or cultural barriers when guiding teams towards an autonomous SOC? Like, is there pushback from the analysts or from management? Like, how are people receiving this new technology?
Yes, definitely there's pushback, and I think that it's quite normal with any new technology. And what I say here, the key in change management is win the human first. So AI agents don't fail because of the tech that we have. They fail because we didn't manage humans properly and we didn't teach them how to use that technology. And when it comes to AI agents, I think the things that you need to make sure as a culture that you have in your organization is that how you approach trust and how you show this new technology to the team. So um, first and foremost, I would say have show them clearly where is the human in the loop. If you try to show yes AI agents or anything, even with automation, it's the same thing. Like when we first saw SOAR, it was like, oh, we can automate all these things, and but then we saw yes, still you need human in the loop. And if you show to your team, this is where what it will be your role when we have AI and AI agents, it will be way easier to, I would say, implement it and win the teams on why this technology is good for them. Uh, Quick wins to brag about, yes, how this technology is helping you, and not to brag just yeah the technology. Let's say it saved so many hours, that the team itself it saved so many hours by using that technology. So it's a combined effort. And yes, so transparency, as I was saying, publish all the policies to be clear. What are the where is the line between where you use AI and where humans to step in, and how you evaluate what they do in the back end, where what are the technologies they're reaching, and so on.
So what metrics do you recommend tracking to see how effective these new tools are? Is it time to close tickets? Is it number of tickets closed? Like, how are we measuring the success of AI in the SOC?
I would say they're still relevant,
I
the metrics like median time to respond and detect, but I would leave those more to the, I would say, security team itself rather than to the technology. When it comes to measuring technology in this case, my favorite one is what I call the metric about the feedback loop. So many of these tools that we're seeing, especially in the security operation space, they say that they're looking at the low severity tickets and they're closing thousands of tickets, if not millions per year, or alerts in our case. That would mean why we are still closing them. We need to feed back to detection engineering and see if did we have faulty detection in the first place, because just closing them, it's doing nothing, even if they're false positives. So it's not just looking at them, is just seeing how many of those they were raised that they need to be improved, and then you have that whole cycle of feedback loop. And the second one is like the verdict that they are closing the specific alerts. So especially with agents, many they're saying yes, they all close them as false positive, but the reality from what I've seen is in many cases the agent, they cannot draw a verdict, or they don't have enough information. They'll say yes, engage the human, and because I couldn't draw a verdict, or in some cases they'll say yes, I think it's suspicious and that's why I raise it. But the ones that they're without verdict have proper like quality assurance around that, see why it didn't work, where it stopped, what it tricked, and yes, look at the guardrails that you implemented as well to see that yes, threat actors, they're not tricking your AI agents to think that the alerts that they're seeing, they're false positives when they're actually malicious.
So yeah, and it sounds like it's very important that the human team working with the AI is doing this constant feedback loop to improve and tune the response, and you both kind of grow together to be more efficient and effective.
Exactly. That's what where I'm seeing, and I think it makes sense how we can measure this technology and see if it performs well.
Very cool. Do you see service provider contracts or SLAs evolving in response to increased automation in MDR and MSSP offerings?
So I think yes, but what I was mentioning also previously, not many of them, they would rely on the SLAs based on the AI agents because they don't have their own LLMs that they train. They usually use third parties to for that. And then when you rely on someone else, it's really hard to embed that in a contract and say, yes, we will deliver on that, because you don't know if it will be available, the LLM for you to satisfy that SLA. So I would say not yet. And probably once we are at the stage that we see more of the vendors deploying their or building their own LLMs, then we might see some improvement. But there are, I think, other metrics that the vendors are trying to put here, to which they're somehow tied to SLA, but I'm not sure if it's just marketing or we would ever see them in a contract.
That never happens in cybersecurity, right?
Yeah, usually it's just yes, you get one thing on the side, when you get the contract, it's
it's a different thing altogether. The show floor and the contract look very different, right?
Yes.
Do you have any advice for MSSPs or MDR providers looking to differentiate themselves through their advanced automation capabilities?
I would say they shouldn't actually differentiate. They should show how they use it. From what I'm seeing, that they start hold this way for autonomous SOC or AI augmented SOC vendors that they appear, and I think many of them, they will evolve and they'll come the next gen MDR or MSSP. So the current MSSP and MDR vendors, they should, I would say, step up their game and show how they're using the autonomous SOC or AI-enabled SOC in their case. I think their biggest advantage is that they have the people as well. And it's quite important if you want to build this autonomous SOC platform, which means that you need to have this quality assurance feedback loop, which has oversight by humans. And they have the manpower. So I think that's how they can, differentiate themselves, that they're not just the technology company. They have people, process, and technology.
Yeah, and I think we always have to differentiate between machine learning and LLMs, because machine learning is, statistics, and there's usually a definitive answer. Where LLMs, I recently saw the CEO of NVIDIA saying that the hallucination problem isn't solvable yet, And you think about how many billions of dollars go into this technology, and we still can't rely on the output. It still needs somebody in very important decisions to take a look and make sure that it's not hallucinating.
Yes. And
Um,
let's go.
no, go please.
It's quite important, yes, especially with the hallucination, to, as you were saying, to differentiate between LLM and ML. I think machine learning, it's been for a while there, and I think not many are talking enough about it on how they're using, because they think, yes, if they say they use LLM, then they use machine learning, which, as you were saying, they're two different things, and it's not true.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there a stage of incident response blueprints that organizations are under investing in? Which part of the process needs more attention, or do you have an opinion on that?
I would say the preparation phase, it needs the most attention, which I think is that first phase, but it contains a lot of sub steps under it. So there we have all the detection engineering, building of the standard operating procedures, automations, and so on. And in many cases, organizations, what they want is quick plug and play solutions. So you connect it, it works, it gives you some alerts, and then it's that never ending of handling alerts, chasing incidents, and yeah. So then you don't have enough time to be proactive, to go back on the preparation phase. I think that's where we should concentrate a bit more than just using plug and play and get some alerts and call it a day. Because then, yes, we get overwhelmed with all the alerts that come, and we don't have time to fix the plumbing.
Yeah, what's an ounce of sweat will save you a liter of blood. That's
Yes.
a saying I picked up, and I believe in that fully. Looking ahead, what emerging automation or AI topics are you most excited about? I know we talked about MCP, but how fast this stuff moves, it almost seems like last week's news at this point.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the things that are moving now so fast, we don't even have enough time to properly test them, and we are moving to the next thing. What I would say as AI topics, I think it's what I want to see how we actually embed them in our today processes and people aspect that we have, because we talk a lot about adding technology, but we don't talk enough on how that would look like with the process that we have. And many organizations, they're not even at the level that they have automated enough of their processes so they can then add AI agents. So yes, taking a step back, looking, yes, we have AI, generative AI, AI agents. I think let's see how those we can embed them in what we have, and then move to the next one. MCP, it's quite interesting, and yes, I need to play a bit more to understand, to see if it does what it promises, and it will really change, especially in the automation front, on how we work with integrations. And one of the things that we have as a pain point is just building integrations, maintaining them, and to see if MCP will fix that.
I think that's the thing I'm most excited about with the promise of MCP. It's none of the high-end, super technical stuff that's able to do. It's that we're going to have to worry less about backwards compatibility and having things break as the technologies move forward. So, yeah, like you, I need to spend some time with it, but it does seem that's the biggest benefit I see off the top. So for teams just beginning their automation journey, do you have any misconceptions you'd like to dispel or advice for them? I know we talked about you taking the time to plan. Is there anything about the technology that they should be wary of?
Yes, I mean, when it comes to, I would say, especially to the automation front, and now that we have AI capabilities, something that is trending is that you can use these AI builders for automation. And not to rely, I would say, heavily that, yes, you'll write the prompt and you need to be really good at prompt engineering, and it will give you an automation. We are not there yet. You'll get a skeleton, so it won't drastically speed up the time that you can deploy automation. So be careful on that, and what they're seeing with that. I think what is really important and what we're getting, like alert summaries, but I would say more like debugging summaries. So we spend a lot of time like debugging automations and see why they fail. Now with AI summaries, you can faster identify why it's not working and how you can fix it. And yeah, the second one is, as I was saying, deploying. Be careful how you deploy agents, because started to appear some platforms here that you can build your own agents, you can plan agents. Don't let them just do end-to-end process. Take it step by step. Start slower, and then you will see better results than just handle my EDR use cases and see how whole department is getting isolated and their machines quarantined and so on.
Yeah, if I've learned anything about the LLMs, you can't trust the guardrails. These things are, I don't even think the people that are building them fully understand what they're capable of. And, for all the effort we put in trying to control them from making mistakes or accessing the wrong data, there still seems to be a lot of holes in the way that we try and protect things with them.
Yes, and I think another area that is quite important is prompt injection. So I think not many of us, we even have enough logs around AI to monitor prompt injection. So we need to be really careful, that even they can exist in any payload or any alert that we're seeing. So yes, how we handle that? Do we have the tools and the auditing around it set in a way that we can take action if something goes wrong? As you were saying, it's quite powerful, and yes, we need to put really, really good fence around it so it doesn't go wild and do things that we don't want.
So this is the last one I have for you. It's the one I ask of everybody that comes on the show. It can be as wide or as narrow as you want. Do you have any predictions for the future of cybersecurity?
So I don't usually go really far with my predictions on cybersecurity, but what I'm seeing, like how things are developing, one thing is for sure is that it will definitely change the way that we do our day-to-day job in cybersecurity. So, and I think we will become better and faster at detecting and responding to cyber threats. But as the second thing is, because we'll have a bit more time for other stuff, we'll be more proactive and maybe a bit more vigilant. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and speak with me, Filip. It's been a really cool conversation, and I just appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It was really great to have a discussion on this topic today.
And for anybody listening, I'll link Filip's blog in the show notes. You should definitely check it out. Some really good writing there. All right. Take care, sir.
Thank you. Bye.